Hey everybody, and welcome to the week 3 coaching call. And I'm here, obviously, and I've got my good friend and fellow co-creator, Dan Ashburn. Give us a wave, Dan.
Hey guys.
So yes, we finally managed to get Dan on a call. He's not halfway across the China Sea or whatever. He's finally here, so you can all be glad, which means Mike got a day off. But the first thing we want to do is we just want to do a quick sound check. So this week, if you just want to, helps if I actually make the comments live. If you just want to tell us, where are you from? And then we'll just pause for a second and wait for these to come in. 4, 3, 2, 1, comments. Yay, we got someone. So Bob Mainwaring, you're from the UK. That's where I'm from, and it's actually where I am right now. And in fact, if you see me screwing my face up and getting really annoyed, it's not with Dan. It's because I'm in a hotel about 800 yards from the grand Manchester Christmas lights opening, and they obviously think it's a really good idea to get the worst bands in history to come and totally destroy really good songs. So it's just, you cannot believe how bad it is. If you happen to be watching, if you happen to be in Manchester and you're there, go home. But we've got Bonnier from Atlanta. We got Rabinoja, I think, from New Jersey. Craigie, they're all coming in now. Well, I'm not going to read all these out. They're going too fast. In fact, I can stop that. We got Merv from Florida, someone from Connecticut, Mallorca, Steve 34. I used to live in Mallorca. Cool place. And oh, we got Anna Silva from Brazil. I recognize that name. She's one of our mentors, in case you didn't know. Okay, so you can all hear us. So that's the most important thing. And we're just going to run through some stuff. We're doing exactly the same as we always do. So this week's call is all about anything, all the way up to and including all of Module 3. So that's the welcome module, Module 1, Module 2, and Module 3. We won't be answering any questions that go beyond that, because today, everyone should welcome our existing ASM members. So basically, we give free upgrades. So you guys, ASM 11 members, when we do ASM 12, you'll get free upgrades to that, the new training. So we've admitted all those people now. So we've got people on this call. Hello, everyone who's not an ASM 11 member. Welcome to the call. But we're only going to be answering questions on those first 3 modules and the welcome module, just to be clear. And do I have to say anything else? Yeah. And so we had a couple of situations last week. If we don't answer a question that you either put in the community or that you asked live, it's probably because either we've got another question that's exactly the same that we're going to answer, or it means that it's not part of the course that's already been covered. It's so important to keep everything focused. If we start going off on a tangent, and especially for you, if you go off on a tangent looking at like module 6 and wondering, how do you hire staff, when you haven't even got your product yet? It's not the way it works. So if we don't answer your questions, that's the reason why. And the last little thing before I talk about product selection and a couple of other things is that tomorrow module 4 is opening. Module 4 is all Dan Ashburn. I get the week off. And you're really going to love it. It's all about preparing. It's basically building an audience. That's the whole gist of it, but there's a lot more to it than that. But it's about building an audience ready to sell your product. But moving on, there's a few things I'm going to talk about, and then I'm going to let Dan come on because he's got some things he wants to discuss too. So basically, you guys on this call, you're probably all at different stages, okay? Even as you're, even if you were all ASM 11 members, some of you might still be in module 1 looking for your product. Some of you might have moved really, really quickly and you might be ready to jump into module 4. You're chomping at the bit because you've been through module 3. And I know that's the case. And I know some of you have already got your product and everything, but I still do want to talk a little bit about product selection. However, before I do that, I do want to mention something about the community and especially about asking questions. And it's really important you focus on where you are in the course. I kind of just mentioned it a minute ago. We drip the course the way we do because we know it works. We've been doing this for, I keep forgetting, I think it's 7 years now, but basically we've launched ASM 11 times. And we've adapted it and evaluated it. And we just know that doing it this way works. So, if you're screaming, I want the next module, I'm done, I'm ready to move on. Be patient, make sure you're getting all the steps done. And it's critically important you watch each and every lesson. We're seeing some of the questions we're going to be answering. We don't mind answering questions. We don't want you to stop asking. Do ask the questions, but they are covered in the training. don't sort of speed read your way through it. Especially don't, if you're watching a video for the first time, don't put it on, 1.5 speed or 2 speed. Watch it at the pace it's meant to be. Take notes. Don't just sit there and think, I'm going to, take all this in, I've got it all. Yes, you're going to get the document underneath, which details it, but take notes for yourself. Using someone else's notes, in other words, the person who does an awesome job creating our training guides, it's not as effective as taking your own notes. So it's really important you do that. And remember to use bookmarks in the videos. That's why they're there. They're a super cool tool. If you get to a bit and you think to yourself, that's really important, then bookmark it. It just makes your life easier because, you might be 3-4 weeks down the line and you think to yourself, oh, I remember that bit. Where was it? And then all you have to do is just go click on the bookmarks tab and look through them. And it tells you exactly every bookmark you've made. And you click on that bookmark and it takes you to the exact bit you're looking for. So make sure you use it. Take your time going through all these videos. And for those of you, you're still looking for your 3 hot opportunities. In other words, essentially you're still in module 1. Do not panic, okay? And especially don't think, oh, this is too hard, or have doubts about, even whether it works, because all I can say to you is this does work. It really does work. We've got so many people that have been through this course and have succeeded, all the mentors on here for one thing, but it works. Try to block those doubts out. Just stay focused. At the end of the day, Dan, the mentors, myself, Matt, Jason, Mike, we all want you, 100%, we want you to succeed. Because it's not just about, you succeeding. Your success is our success. At the end of the day, if our members weren't succeeding, then we wouldn't be succeeding. So it's incredibly important to us that you do succeed. It's not just that we want you to succeed because it's an awesome feeling for us, seeing people succeeding. But it's so important, you will succeed. Just be patient and just keep going. So if you're still looking for your 3 products, then don't worry about it. This is completely normal. It's at the end of the day, everyone learns and implements at different speeds. You might have more time on your hands. You might be a stay-at-home mom. Now, I'm not saying stay-at-home moms before I get shot don't have anything to do, but they probably have more time than someone who's doing a 9-to-5 job, or even worse. I'm trying to think of his name, Paul Nickel. He was working like 10 hours a day every day, 6 days a week, in a really sort of difficult, stressful finance job. Whereas now, he's been doing this since, I think it's ASM 9, so a year or a year and a half, and he's quit his job. And now he gets to stay at home. He gets to hang around with his kids, and he gets to work from home. You can do this, but everyone goes at different speeds. You're probably seeing, like we're seeing, and we're blown away by it. There's people that have already found their suppliers, and even in a couple of cases, they've actually placed their first inventory order. And that's absolutely amazing. That's really fast. That's the unusual, okay? They're the unusual, you're not. Like taking your time and taking a bit longer to do this is the norm. It's not something you need to worry about. And in fact, use it, okay? Don't let it get you down. If you see these members that are way ahead of you or whatever, they're posting badges, then instead of going, oh, I can't believe how far ahead they are of me, instead of that, be positive. Go in there and take the time and congratulate them. Say, awesome job on doing that. And then say, I'm going to be there soon. Keep reinforcing it to yourself. I am not, and it's something I'm going to talk about later, I am not into like self-help and all that kind of stuff. But this really does work. Be positive. Congratulate other people for doing so well so fast. But then reinforce the idea in your own head by saying, and I'm going to be there soon. The whole community, I'm sure you've already realized, it's a big family. Everyone wants to help each other. It's not just the mentors. So do it. Take the time to go and congratulate them. When you've got 10, 15 minutes spare, go into the badge accomplishments, look at what people are doing. And don't forget, some of those people might not have started when you started, and you can actually see when they started because they've got a date next to their username. So they might have been, doing this for months or even a year longer than you. So don't let it worry you. Just please hang in there, do this at your own pace and work on it when you can, and don't I think I said this last week, like, don't sit in front of your computer and just constantly do it for hours on end. Okay. A, it won't be productive. And B, it's going to drive you nuts. You know, it's just not the right way to do it. Maybe do an hour. You'll find yourself, when you start to lose focus, then that's the time to take the break. But it's normally, most people, it's about an hour. So do it for an hour, then go get a drink, make a coffee, make a tea, go play with your kids for 15, 20 minutes. Take the dog for a walk, you know, just break it up, anything. Even, you know, go and watch one of these interviews that we've posted. Or watch a previous call, put your feet up, stop thinking about work, put your feet up and listen to one of the previous calls. If you constantly try and just bang away all night, you know, constantly, like for hours on end, trust me, it will not work. I am weird. I seriously love product selection. I love going through the process. I love looking for products. But even I know that, like, I'll get to a point, it's like an hour, and my eyes will get a bit blurry or whatever. And it's like, I need to take a break. So take a break. You know, we posted a really cool interview. And if you want to find these interviews, just search for ASM interviews in the community. We did one with Dana that was, it was actually about 18 months ago we did that interview. But she's at kind of where you're at now, because she got started, you know, really quick. And there's some amazing tips in there. And on top of that, Dana is absolutely awesome. It was a lot of fun, the call. I was based in the background, Mike interviewed her, but it was a lot of fun. And also we just posted one with the Dysons. If you followed the whole launch process we did, you'll have seen the Dysons interviewed, and you know they're doing insane numbers. But forget what the numbers they're doing, okay? Go and watch the interview and listen to them. They've got some incredible insights into, you know, how they got where they did. And even, you know, especially when they were at the start. So make sure you take a break from work. Like, just watch one of the videos, go take a walk, whatever you want to do, but take a break. Don't sit there for hours on end. And I've got one more little topic I'm going to talk about. And again, this is the whole thing. Like, I am not into self-help. And when I first did this on a call, it was, I think, it might have been ASM 8, I think. And you'll find out why in a minute, but I got very passionate about it. And Mike said to me afterwards, he goes, well, I won't say exactly what he said. I didn't realize you're into all that stuff. And I'm like, I'm not. But this is why this is so powerful. I don't subscribe to anything along these lines, but this is so powerful. And we gave you an inkling of it when you first joined, and you had to fill in that tiny little box saying why you joined. Okay, but we're going to take that a step further now. And this is something that was taught to me by a really, really, really good friend, Christine Aktrav, and she was one of our ASM mentors. And sadly, she passed away in late 2017. But the powerful thing she taught me to find is your why, okay? And we're not just saying, why do you join? Oh, I want to make loads of money, okay? It's, why did you invest in yourself and us and join ASM? And right now, if you're all thinking, you're probably going, oh, I want to make more money, okay? And that's fine. But I just want to elaborate on that a little bit, because way back when, it was probably 2.5 years ago, Christy and I were on a call with some members, and they were a bit down, they were struggling a little bit. And she just kept saying over and over again, what's your why? To every single one of them, one at a time, what's your why? And they go, I want to make more money. And they should know, like, why do you want to make more money? And like drilling it down into it. And it was an amazing thing to watch, because all of a sudden they started like getting excited again and regaining their drive, passion, and enthusiasm. And this is corny as hell, and I apologize for it now. I don't think Dan's ever heard this. He's going to go, oh my God, enthusiasm, right? It's no coincidence what the last 3 letters of enthusiasm are. Okay, it's ASM, right? Get enthusiastic again. But it's so important, you know, everyone's why is different. I mean, you may get people that have similar whys. I'm going to put Dan on a spot when I finish, by the way, ask him what his is. So I'm giving you time to think about it, mate.
Oh, no, I'm all about this stuff, Rich. It's all good.
Yeah, I know you are. That's why it's embarrassing I'm doing it. But anyway, so like, for instance, for Mike, the reason he did this was plain and simple. He wanted more time with his family. That was it. It wasn't that he wanted to make, you know, $1 million a year. It wasn't anything to do with money. Money got him to that point, because obviously he had a really good job, but it was like, full-time corporate job. So he was always working. He hardly had any time off. He had to travel as well. So he hardly got to spend time with his family. So for him to spend more time with his family, he had to find something that essentially he could do from home and replace that income. So he did want to replace that income, whatever it was. Let's say, I don't know, $250,000 a year. That's what he wanted to make. That's not the reason though. That's not his why. His why is he wanted to spend time with his family. For me, it was literally the freedom to travel wherever and whenever I wanted. And nicely, do you know what I mean? All my friends, they all call me a travel snob, and I am, because that's my one passion. That sounds terrible, but it's my main passion is I love to travel, and I love to travel well. And that's what I wanted. You know, I was doing well and everything. I was an online marketer. I was doing well, and I was getting to travel, but just not as much as I wanted to do. And that was my why. And, you know, I've attained it. And the funny thing is I've now got a new one, and I'm not gonna tell you what it is, but like, so I've got a new why now, but like things change, and you know, you move on, you reach your why. Don't sit back and think, I'm done. I got my why. Find another why. You know, it's so important. So your why, this is what you've got to do. You have got to discover your why. And, you know, it's not about making $1 million a year. It's about, if that is your idea, that's fine. But what does making $1 million a year do for you? Why is it that you want that money? You know, it might be maybe you just had a new baby, or you're looking at your kids thinking, crap, you know, how am I going to put these guys through college? You know, I don't want them to have to struggle. I want them to have the best of everything, you know, and it's, so that's your why. There's so many different whys, and it's, you have to come up with it. We can't give it to you. I've given you some examples, but we can't give it to you. And it's, once you've done that, and this is the most important bit, it's not just finding it and figuring it out and realizing it's not just money. You need to, first of all, write it down. You then need to go and find just a single picture. You don't need to do, you know, anything elaborate. You don't need to find tons of different pictures that describe everything. Find your why and find a picture that represents it. So for me, it would be a tropical island that I'd never been to that I wanted to go to. For Mike, it would have been his kids. You know, well, his wife and kids. Probably she's going to kill me. But like, and then, you know, like the baby example, you want them to have the best, a picture of your baby, and then put it next to where you work, put it next to your computer, or put it on your computer, have it as a screensaver, have it as the background. So whenever you're on your computer, you're seeing it. Because when you start to feel frustrated, and you are, if you haven't already, you are going to feel frustrated. There's absolutely no way about, you know, nobody goes through this business model, becomes successful, doesn't get frustrated at one point or another. Every time you start to feel frustrated, look at that picture and remember what it is. Remember why you're doing this. And you will get over that frustration. You will get back on it, and you will start moving forward again. It's so simple, but it's so powerful. And like, I challenge you to do it because it does work. But here's the thing. We're going to take it a step further, because we're going to basically reward you for doing it. Because here's what we're going to do. We're going to create a community post. You've probably already seen the other ones. We've closed those now. We're going to start a new one for you guys. And if anyone on this call is before ASM 11, you can join in too, and basically go to that thread. It's going to be pinned at the top, and it's going to say, I think it's my why 2019, 2020. Go in there, post in there, put your picture in there. You must put the picture in there. And then just a little description, you know. I'll probably get the mentors to go in and post theirs so that you can see, you know, what kind of thing works. Go and do that. And then what we're going to do in about 3 or 4 weeks time is we're literally going to do a prize draw for everyone from ASM 11 who posted their whys in that thread. And there's going to be 5 prizes, okay? The 3rd, 4th, and 5th prize are going to be a free ticket to CellarCon, which is in June in Austin. The 2nd prize is going to be a VIP ticket. In other words, you get networking lunches every day of the event with that. And if you only get the basic ticket, you can upgrade that. It's not that expensive. But for the number one, the first prize, the number one prize, for the first prize, and it's going to be priced like it's, we're not going to judge any of these, okay? It's literally going to be, it's actually quite fun. Dan's yet to experience this, but we're actually going to do it live. We're going to use a random number generator, and it's a lot of fun. And you'll see that we're not cheating because we'll do it live. But the first prize, I didn't need, I was going to say I had to work really hard on him to get him to do this and all this kind of thing, but he didn't. It was literally, I just said, what are we going to do for prizes? And you're also you're not only going to get a VIP ticket to Celicon, you're also going to get 2 30-minute coaching calls with Jason Katzenbach. Okay, it's not just one of the mentors. It's not me. It's not Dan. It's even bigger than that. It's with Jason Katzenbach himself. And that is a phenomenal bonus. He doesn't do this kind of thing anymore. You know, it's, and I don't know what kind of price you'd put on having an hour's worth of phone call with Jason Katzenbach, but it's a lot. But those are the prizes, and it's all you need to do. Discover your why, post it in the community in the thread, and as I said, it'll be pinned by the end of this call. You can go in there and do it. You don't have to do it straight away. Think about it, figure out what it is, get a picture of it, and go in there and do it. And remember, don't stop there. Put a picture next to your computer. It's so important. But then in about probably 3 weeks' time, because we'll give everyone time to go and do this and see the replay and everything, we'll do a prize draw live on the call. And you'll see, we just use a random number generator, and then we look at the post number, and that person wins. And that's it. It's that simple. So 5 amazing prizes. So Dan, I'm done. If you want to take over, I know you've got some more cool things that we're going to give them. So
yeah, sure. I mean, you asked about my why to start with. And, you know, to your point, Rich, I've never heard you talk about that stuff, but to your point, your why definitely does change. Coming up in my early 20s and my late teens, it was all about not working for the man. And so being your own boss and not having to answer to anyone, obviously the money and the success brings that. And then as soon as I got married and had kids, it was all about the next generation and inspiring the next generation. So I had a pretty crappy upbringing. And I promised myself and my wife that my kids would never go through that. And now it's all about inspiring my 2 boys, Alfie and Austin, to show them that they can be and do anything they want to in this world, as long as they commit themselves and focus. And I think I'm doing a pretty good job of that. They travel consistently. We did, I think earlier in the year, we did 7 cities, 6 flights in 6 weeks. We went from -25 to +30, and Alfie's constantly asking sort of, where are we going next, Daddy? Where's the next venture? And it's definitely coming through in his schooling as well. So that's my why. It's inspiring the next generation. And I think we've dropped Rich.
No, you haven't, mate. You've got a couple of announcements to make before I come back.
Oh, okay, cool. So yeah, guys, thank you for joining. It's really nice to be here. It's my first coaching call. Apologies I wasn't on last week. I was the other side of the world in China, visiting some factories and doing some sourcing out there. But a few reminders for this week that we're really excited to announce. First off, being your ASM 11 bonuses. We don't want you to forget these. They are very valuable, and they're going to help you in your journey on the road to success in this business model. So I've seen a few questions around it already, but the first one is your 2 30-minute coaching calls, your mentoring calls with a member of the team. You need to email Support Amazing to get that. And this was all included on a post that has been emailed to you earlier this week. So check your email, look for that post, because it's a very private post just for ASM 11 members. And it details all of the details of the ASM 11 bonuses. So don't forget about the 2 mentoring calls. Also, your product listing review. Invaluable sort of service there. When it comes to creating that product listing, a good listing versus a bad listing in today's world on Amazon can differentiate success or not. And having a trained professional and experienced seller look over that listing is going to set you up for success in the right direction. So don't look at these bonuses as being sort of throwaway things. That's someone's time, and you're tapping into years of their experience. I'm a big believer in the fastest way to achieve success is find someone that's done it before and do what they did. And through that listing optimization review, you're going to get access to someone that is a seller and is ahead of you in the journey. So definitely look at that. $500 towards your advertising budget, so towards your first advertising campaign on Amazon using Amazon sponsored ads. That will take you almost all the way towards your launch budget for launching your product. We've actually been involved in a few launches recently, and that budget will definitely set you up for success in getting your product live. So don't forget that you get $500 towards that first campaign within your Amazon advertising. And finally, a brand new bonus, and one I'm very excited about because it's going to make everyone's life a lot easier and set you up for more success, is the ASM sourcing bonus. So you will have seen that coming through module 3. It's towards the end of module 3. Rich talks about the ASM sourcing bonus, the criteria that you must meet to qualify for that bonus. And he also talks through in the training how to go and acquire and get that bonus. I know the team and the infrastructure behind this bonus. It's no joke what's gone into putting this together. So very, very excited for you guys to go through this, as this is the first time this has been offered to ASM members, specifically for ASM 11 members. So take advantage of those bonuses. If you're unsure on the details of how to get access to those bonuses, or maybe what each bonus means, or maybe why it's important to you, what impact it's going to have on your success and your journey, check out that post in the community. It was emailed to you early this week. And if you can't find that email or you're not sure where it is, then email support or drop it in the community and the guys will help you out there. So as we finish up talking about bonuses, we're on module 3 this week. We've just finished up for the fast movers, for the guys and girls that have taken action and got momentum behind what they're doing. You're already going to be receiving samples from your suppliers over in China, or you're in sort of talks with suppliers and factories maybe, but you're at the point of sort of considering a product and deciding which factory to go with. To that point, and to Rich's point, if you're not there yet, it's absolutely fine. This isn't a race, it's a marathon, and it's an individual journey. So don't compare yourself against others and don't feel like you should be at this point. But we are in week 3, and there will be a few people on this call that are at the point of receiving samples. And I just wanted to talk to the point of how important product quality is in today's world of building a brand and using Amazon as a platform to sell your products within your brand. Years ago, there used to be a position where you could just put anything up on Amazon, you'd make some cash, and that would be it. But the brands and the people and the sellers that are really succeeding on Amazon in 2019, moving into 2020, are those that take product quality seriously, are those that invest in developing a brand and really thinking about the customer they're serving, and then focusing on the quality of the products that they're putting through. So Rich taught you about using competitor listings, competitor review analysis to understand what people like and don't like about a certain product. A lot of people skip on that and just think they can order a Me Too product from China and they're going to be successful on Amazon. And whilst there is a lot of opportunity in those sorts of products, if you take the time to really invest in the quality of the product you're developing, understand how can I differentiate this product to deliver a better experience for my customer, to solve a pain point or a problem that's been highlighted in my competitors' reviews. I have a team in place now, but I used to sit for hours and read thousands of reviews manually to get a feel for the customer, get an understanding of the language they were using, really pull out the pain points, going as far as sort of tallying the critical reviews and then tallying the positive points, and then looking at that data and saying, with the products that I'm considering, with this sample I have here in my hand, what can I do to tune this product in the right direction to deliver a better experience and a better quality product than my competitors on Amazon? And ultimately, this is going to set you up for success in the long run because it's going to show up in your product reviews. Product reviews are becoming more and more important on Amazon. Consumers are a lot more sensitive to reviews. And as Amazon shoppers get more savvy to the platform, reviews are largely filtered 4 and 5 star and above in those search results. So if you skip on product quality, not only are you doing your customers a disservice, you're doing your business and your brand a disservice, but it's very short-sighted from a point of success in this journey, because it's going to ultimately come back and kick you in the ass a little bit down the line, because it's going to start showing up in those product reviews. So when working with a supplier, as I talked about in the training, for those that have completed module 3, you really want to put that product through its paces. You want to understand, how is your customer using the product? Often it's not actually the person buying the product that's using it. So think about the actual end user and understand how are they using the product, and put that sample to test. If it's a backpack, then you want to be really wearing it, putting some heavy stuff in there, trying to pull the the seams apart. If it's maybe a kitchen utensil, you want to cook with it a few times. You want to get a recipe book that's relevant to that utensil or that appliance and really put it through its paces with the actual recipes that your customers are going to be using. If it's a beauty item, maybe it's some sort of beauty brush or hairbrush, or even you're going as far as sort of topicals like creams, then you need to get it into the customer's hand that is going to be using it and have them really scrutinize and test that product's quality, because your customers will do this and it will show up in your Amazon listing. If you're looking at a market that's maybe 3 or 4 stars on average, and you can release a 5-star product, you're already one step ahead of all of your competition, and your life is going to be a lot easier and your journey to success is going to be a lot faster because of that focus on quality. So when working with a supplier, as I talked about in the training, consider things like, are the supplier focused on quality? Are they good with their communication? Are they willing to be flexible in the development and tuning of this product? And are they listening and acknowledging the pain points when you're putting across your information of where you want to improve this product? Let them know that you will be carrying out quality testing here in the United States or in the UK. And that quality testing is obviously you and your circle of friends maybe. But let them know that you will be doing that. And then when it comes to actually discussing placing an order, let them know that you will be expecting quality inspections. You will be expecting a golden sample that you want to receive and sign off. And then that quality inspection will be tested against that sample. So really put the factory through their paces in terms of the quality that you're focusing on. This also goes a lot further than just Amazon. As we get into some of the more advanced modules in ASM and beyond, you're going to be learning more about like off Amazon influencer type marketing that you can do with like YouTube influencers and things like that. And if you really are serious about building a brand that serves people with good quality products, then these influencers and these collaborations that you can put in place later down the line in your brand are not going to take you so seriously if you're just putting crappy products online. So everything comes back to quality. And with those reviews generating on Amazon, that's going to increase your conversion rate on your listing. That increased conversion rate in your listing is going to increase your relevancy in Amazon's eyes. And the whole thing is a rising tide and your product rises to the top. One thing I'm seeing from being across hundreds of products on Amazon actively all the time is that the quality rises to the top. So a real big message from me here as we go through module 3 together is to don't skip on quality. If it takes an extra couple of days to get a sample in and test it, give it those extra couple of days. This isn't a race, because while you're taking the time to get that quality in, others are skipping that step. And ultimately 3-6 months from now, you're going to be winning because you have the quality product on Amazon. So really big point, focus on product quality. Don't let it stop. It's one of the secrets to being successful on Amazon in 2019 is product quality, combined with having a good relationship with your supplier and getting good pricing and terms, as I talked about. So that is it for product quality. And I'm sure we have a number of questions around that as well that are going to come up in a bit. But I'm very excited to announce 2 ASM only bonuses that have been put together just for you ASM members on the call. So if you're here and you're not part of ASM, maybe you're earlier, still listen along. But these bonuses are exclusively for ASM members. Once you get your first sale badge, so as soon as you get that product in, you get it through its quality testing, you place your first order, we create the listing as you're about to learn in module 5, we get all of that good stuff done, your inventory hits Amazon, you generate your first sale, you submit that through and get your first sale badge within the community, 2 brand new bonuses are opening up to you. Now, these bonuses are a bit more advanced. You don't need them just yet. You need them when your product goes live. And the first one is the recordings of this year's SellerCon in Las Vegas. So if you've done your homework on Amazing, or maybe you've been around the community for a while, but this is your first time sort of jumping into the community with ASM, you will know that ASM and Amazing host the industry's largest and most highly rated in conference every year called SellerCon. It's a 2 to 3 day event. Industry, world-renowned leading speakers from all over the world. Myself was there, Rich was there, Mike was there, and then all the industry leading speakers were on the stage. This year there was 4 different rooms involved. Hours and hours of high-level, good quality tactical training. Now, I know that these are actually have a good ticket price against them usually. They're normally sold, these recordings. But Rich and the team got together and put together a bonus that gives you access to all of the recordings from this year's SellerCon, but you have to achieve that first sale badge first. And then it's going to be like Netflix for Amazon, where you can jump in and go through all of SellerCon's more advanced training. In addition to that, there is a membership area called Seller Pro. And you may have seen this on the amazing.com website. Now, again, you don't get access to this until you get your first sale badge live. But Seller Pro is full of more advanced sort of mini courses, short courses on everything from PPC to launching and beyond. And again, you're going to get 6 months free access to Seller Pro when you get that first sale badge live. So you kind of get the message here, don't you? We want you to get that first sale badge. We're behind you. We're rallying with you. Myself, Rich, Mike, the entire mentor team supporting here on the call and in the community. We're behind you to get you with your first product live and build your brand and business on Amazon. So very excited to announce those, Rich. I think they're awesome. Last minute bonuses there. I think that's great.
Yeah, it's you know, and as Dan said, they are advanced, but they're going to be, you're going to love them. They're amazingly powerful, and you do. I don't know if you mentioned it. You do get to see me, Mike, and Dan on stage. Not all together, but we are on stage, which is always pretty cool. So yeah, so we're going to start going through the questions from the community. I guess since we switched the order, Dan, I'll go first.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll find them now. Here we go. All right. So as usual, I'll do my best to pronounce the username. This one's okay, I think. Morris ABD. Dear wonderful instructors, that's always a good way to start a question. One of my final products on the list is a BSR of 78 in this category, but then the first competing item is 540. Is that okay? Straight off the bat, no, but let's see what else you have to say. Or am I breaching the criteria here? Yes. Everything else looks good. Maybe the BSR of the primary product got below 100 because we're approaching Christmas. Is that okay? So there's a reason we have that cutoff point. You know, it's not just a number that's pulled out of the air. What you can do is go and look at the BSR history. So if you go and open the listing and then open up the retriever extension and then click on the BSR number, excuse me, and it will show you a range. If that is just recently dropped a lot, maybe they're doing a promotion or something like that. If that's the case, then you might look at it. As long as if you look at the average over time has been 100 or above, it becomes a very slippery slope, even like taking a few numbers off. You know, you might say, well, 78's okay, it's only 20, and then you find another product and that's 60. And you go, wow, that's only an extra 10 or whatever, you know, and it's the BSR is there to guide you for a reason. But if everything else with the product looks perfect with the competing products and all that kind of thing, go check out the BSR history. And if it has recently just dropped to 78 and it's generally 100, then you could theoretically put that in your list of products. The next one's Magda. If primary and competing products have, well, this is an interesting question to follow up with. If primary and competing products have priced $10 and other products have $19 and have good sales, can I choose that product and sell for $19? No. So here's there's a big difference here, and that is we're especially interested in the primary product and the two competing products, essentially the top 3 products. If the top 3 best-selling products are all selling at $10, that is probably the reason they're the top products, because they're selling for $10. You know, you can't say, well, there's another product, the 5th ranked product is selling for $19. It'll be okay, because it won't. What's probably happened with those products, even if you see a lot of the other ones have, you know, $19 or whatever, there's probably a price war going on, and it's going to be a race to the bottom. The primary and 2 competing products must be within the price range or really close to it. And then even then, only one of them, if one of them was sort of $13, then you might look at it if the rest of the competing products were a good price. But at $10, there's just no way you're going to achieve like the absolute minimum profit margin of 20%. And the only thing that's going to happen, I would imagine in that case, is the prices are going to come down, not up. Tin Cook, I think in the training we were instructed to load 10 pages in MBS Retriever and then switch to page 11 on the Amazon site, correct? However, the Retriever can load more than 10 pages. Yes, it can. The reason we do that is if you click the next 10 pages after doing 10 pages, you're hitting Amazon too quick on the same page. So think of it as you've basically visited Amazon, you've used that search, and that is what, when you get to that page, that's one page. You're sitting on that page and you're extracting 10 pages. That, crikey, I don't know if you can hear the fireworks. That's hitting the Amazon server. If you do too many of those and it's too intense, then your IP gets blocked for like an hour, maybe 2 hours, maybe. That's the reason. And also, it's a better way to do it. I know it might not seem it to you, but it is. Go through the process, take the time to find the products you want, put them into your sheet, close that page, open the next page, open the retriever again, and start the process. Honestly, just going ahead and extracting the next 10 is not going to save you that much time. And on top of that, it's going to hit Amazon too much and they'll probably block your IP. If I find only 2 competing products to my primary product, does that mean that the market for a potential new entry doesn't exist? So if you think, I can't believe how loud these fireworks are, whether you can hear them or not. So what does the training tell you? The training tells you that as long as you can find a primary and 2 competing products, then that product can be viable if it matches all the criteria. And that's the answer. Okay. It's all you need. Now, if you only found one product, in other words, the primary product, and there were no competing products, then that's a different matter. But you know, you've got primary and 2 competing products and they match the criteria, they fit the BSR ranges, then it's all good. It's exactly what you're looking for. And in fact, in some cases, that could mean it's an emerging market, which could be a really good thing. Biz Roberts, PI. I found many interesting products already. Awesome. However, when looking for competing products, I noticed they have a couple of variations on their listing. Is this a no-go? So when we say avoid anything with variations, you're going to see those variations all the way through. So, excuse me, when you run the competing product search, you might see, and you get, it depends on what it is. Let's say there's 20 results come in on the extension. If all of those had variations, then that's something to basically stay away from unless you can identify the different BSR ranges. In other words, if it's in a subcategory that allows that. But if you're looking at a search and the primary product doesn't have a variation, let's look at it a different way. Say in the top 10, if only 2 or 3 of them have a variation, and if it's only got 1 variation or maybe 2, then that's less of an issue. And especially if the variation is the same. But, you know, we're looking at stuff. I'm trying to think of a really good example. If you go onto Amazon and look for full face snorkel mask, and you'll find the listing, and it's like it's a snorkel mask that completely envelops your face. And I think they snorkels on the top and it folds back. And look at those. That's the kind of thing you need to stay away from, because every single listing has like 20 or 30 variations. You know, as long as there's only, if you're not getting a case where all of the competing products have variations, then you are able to identify like what is the best. That's where the issue comes in with variations, when you can't identify which is the best seller. I hope that helps. If not, post in the community and tag me. I'll have another go. Siavash, J91. Oh, that's the best I can do. Should I order samples from the top 3 suppliers that I found, or should I wait to apply for the ASM sourcing program at that point? Receive quotes from the 3 suppliers from them and then narrow it down further. No. So if you watch the actual sourcing program, the sourcing bonus video, it actually gives you the requirements in there. One of the requirements is you must have found your best product. Okay, because you only get one shot. Like it's, you know, it's, and I'm not doing that, saying that to be mean or anything. It's like, it's an awesome shot because we're literally giving you like access to our sourcing agents on the ground in China, but you're only going to be able to give them one product. So to do that, you must have picked that product. And if you've been through module 2 and 3, you have to contact suppliers. There's a lot of reasons for this. First of all, the one product thing. Like you're only going to be able to give them one product to go and source for you. But the other thing is when those quotes come back, like we can't guarantee they're going to be better than ones you find. It's very likely, but we can't guarantee it. So it's really, and you need to be able to look at them and compare them all together. To do that, you must have got the information back from at least 3 suppliers. So if you go through module 2 and module 3, you basically, you've ordered samples, you've narrowed down, you narrow it down to the best product you've got and the 3 suppliers for that product. Then you go through module 3 with those and apply for your sourcing bonus. You can't just, if you just, oh, there's 3 suppliers and they told me what the price is. You need to go through it all. But as soon as you've identified your number 1 product, and I'm pretty sure off the top of my head, that's module 3, when you actually narrow it down, that's when you've got your samples, then go for it. Like I said, you have to have something to compare it with. If all you do is just, you don't go through the process, you don't and especially if you don't understand how it all works and how suppliers are and how to communicate with suppliers. If you don't know how to do that, then the sourcing bonus is less value to you because you won't be able to compare, what you found with what they found. Tom and Nona, we found several products and received pricing. All looks good until we get freight costs via Freightos. First of all, before we go any further, just remember Freightos is just quotes from suppliers, from shipping companies. Don't take them as gospel. You might be able to negotiate better terms. You might even be able to negotiate better pricing with your supplier. It's a really good way of establishing roughly how much it's going to cost, but I just wanted to make that clear. So we are finding that sea shipping appears to have a minimum cost, as when we get pricing on quantities from 2 to 6 cartons, they all have exactly the same cost to ship. So that is quite common. I think I covered it in the training where we looked at, how you can reduce your profit margin in the future by ordering extra, like ordering bigger amounts. Because even though, the examples I showed, even though there were much larger quantities, the actual cost per unit was a lot less because you got almost the same price. So that's normal, which is very high. Okay, that's not normal. When we go to air shipping, it is much cheaper, almost by 2/3. Okay, that seems weird. But at the end of the day, if you can get cheaper air shipping than you can sea shipping, that's a good thing. But what we are finding is for small orders, total inventory cost under 1,000, that the lower air shipping cost can almost be half the total cost of the inventory cost. Okay. Quick reminder to everyone, when you ask questions that you want us to answer, I'm trying to keep them concise and short as possible. For example, 680 for the inventory and 232 for shipping, which pushes the margin. Okay, so what this all boils down to is if you're finding that after you go through all the costing, so you found your true cost, you found the cost of shipping it, you put all that together, if all that boils down to the profit margin being too low, then that product, throw it away, okay? While that's not it is a quote, it's still a good identifier. I should have read the whole question out instead of like butting in halfway through myself. But yeah, it's like, you will find this happens. At the end of the day, some products aren't meant to be. I'm trying to think of which one I used in the training that looked absolutely awesome. And then when we went through the whole process, it wasn't. That's why we take you through every single step. That's why we teach you how to get the shipping quote, so that you can figure out that cost, add it to the truth, everything else. So you have the final cost of the product. Excuse me, I'm sorry. So that you can figure out the profit margin. But at the end of the day, if you're going below 20%, then that would worry me. If in this situation, with a small order, you were getting, over 20%, maybe 25%, then I wouldn't rule that out. You need to look exactly the same way as I did in the training. Look for what it would mean when you order bigger orders. Does that bring down the unit price enough to drive your profit margin up, higher, up to 30 beyond? Because it might well do that, because by the look of the costs and stuff, you are ordering quite a low MOQ. But yeah, it's like at the end of the day, to answer this question, the easiest way, if it takes you below the recommended profit margin, then push it aside. You know, if you can't, the only other alternative there would be to order more inventory to bring down your unit cost. But I'm thinking by what I'm looking at here that, you know, it might not be something you're going to be able to go with. So I would, so then actually you follow up with, do we discard these products and keep looking for new products? I would probably suggest yes, because you're asking about the sourcing agent. I wouldn't want to risk this product with the sourcing agent. It looks like a low cost, low MOQ product, and I'm not sure that is the way you want to go for this product in particular anyway. Hope that helped, guys. Yeah, I got no chance. It starts with Zura. I'm like, I can't pronounce the rest of it. I'm sorry. For quite a few of us, our Seller Central accounts are yet to be activated due to suspension. Salute to James for the ongoing help. Yep, James Anderson is a rock star. He is absolutely awesome. I do help him a little bit, but he is absolutely awesome. So I'm not going to read this whole question out because this is basically, I'll read this bit out, but it's a very long question, but I can sum it up. But we're not able to progress much for the action steps in module 3, your suggestion and how to approach subsequent modules. So, I mean, you're talking about, you know, what should you buy? A domain name, you design your logo, buy your UPC, your product listing, all that kind of stuff. If you have already found your product and you're ready, you know, you're literally absolutely 100% sure that that's your product, then by all means, do the little things. The one thing you should not do until you've got your Seller Central account approved is place an order for your inventory, because first of all, you have to have an open account to be able to give them the shipping information and create the FNSKU. So that's one thing you don't do, okay? Hang in there. But if you found your product and you literally are ready to pull the trigger, then, you know, by all means, go and buy a domain name. It's $10. Perhaps get the logo, perhaps get your UPC. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, while you are sort of in limbo, there's plenty of other stuff you can be doing. You could even perhaps look for other products too. James will get you there. And the next time you message James, tell him you were the guy on the call or the girl on the call. I can't tell from your username. And you're ready to place your inventory order. Is there anything that he can do to speed things up? Normally there isn't, but it doesn't hurt to ask. And tell him that I told you to ask him. I mean, he's probably listening anyway, but yeah, like do anything that's in the training that isn't a big cost is what I would say. You know, the odds are James is going to get you through that. And then, you know, you'll have more of the stuff done, but do not under any circumstances place your inventory order until your Seller Central account is approved. It's absolutely critical you don't do that. And you added a bit, continue on subsequent modules, by all means. You know, if you're kind of in limbo, then go ahead. You know, you found your product. You've done probably the most difficult thing there is to do. Although right now you're probably saying to me, well, and set up my Seller Central account. But we'll get you there. But you found your product and your supplier and you're ready to place an order. That's insane. That's awesome. So message James and tell him I told you to message him. IB Zymek I'm going for. Now that we have MBS Retriever, should we give up on Jungle Scout since we are paying for it and it's not cheap? MBS said it's in the MBS. It said in the lesson can do everything JS can do. Yes. Thank you, Isabella. Yes is the answer. Like if you're paying the monthly subscription for Jungle Scout, you don't need that. Okay. Between the extension, replacing the Jungle Scout extension, and also the free trial you're going to get of MBS, you have everything you need. And that's coming up shortly, by the way. Jungle Scout is a good tool, don't get me wrong. Like we used it for what, a couple of years. But at the end of the day, you know, as an ASM 11 member, you're getting the extension like free. There's no point. It does everything you need it to do. And everything the the Jungle Scout extension does, for sure. So yeah, you can, if you want, stop paying for that and just use the Retriever. And then when you're moving on further through the course, you can use the MBS stuff, which we'll be talking about in module, I think the first time is module 5. Siavash, HJ91. Siavash. Anyway, I noticed you entered a fictitious business name for, excuse me, For certificate of authenticity when purchasing barcodes from Nationwide, can I enter my own name? Oh, first of all, yes, I did enter a fictitious business name and I threw away those UPC codes. Like there's no way I was going to use them. So, but I had to put something in there to show you how it all worked. But you go on to say, can I enter my own name and receive a certificate of authenticity in my name? I'll finish reading it. Also, if I use a UPC code to sell a particular product on Amazon, then stop selling that product and move to a different product, can I still reuse the same UPC? So to answer both of those, you need to use the name that you're using in Amazon. In other words, the brand name when you purchase the UPC, because if anything ever comes up, Amazon will check that. And at least you've got the one thing you have is you do have that certificate of authenticity to show them to say, look, it's got my brand name on it. So, you know, I very much doubt anything's going to happen anyway, but put the certificate in your brand name, not in your own name. And the second part, that UPC is tied to that product. You can't just, I mean, at the end of the day, if you're using Nationwide, it costs a couple of bucks. Do you know what I mean? It's not a big deal, but you can't use it for a different product then because that UPC code is unique. That's why it's called a unique product. Tracy, quickly in Skype. She's answering someone else. I can't remember what universal product. I don't know. Anyway,
universal
UPC
product code.
There you go.
There you go.
I go, Brett. Thank you. Tracy, your voice has changed. Yeah, so you can't just switch it to another product. That's unique to that product. And not just on Amazon, it's unique code. So I hope that does answer your question. Use your brand name when you register, and you can only use UPC for one product. Marty, I can't pronounce the second part of your name, but it ends in 28. You know who you are. If BSR was 614 at the beginning and after 1 week it's 1397, is it something I need to worry about? So first of all, it's still well within the BSR range, so it's not something I'd worry about. You can go and look, as I said earlier, go and look at the BSR history. What you'll probably find is they ran a promotion or something along those lines, so the BSR dropped. You'll probably find, as a wild guess on my part, that generally it's probably around the 1400 mark. Or they could have run out of stock, so the BSR starts to drop because they're not making sales. But at the end of the day, 1397 is well inside like the range of even the smallest category, so not something you need to worry about. Back T, I have a trademark logo and products. How would I be able to use an Amazon? All right, so I'm assuming you already had these products when you joined Amazon because that's the quickest ever trademark I've ever heard of. So I would have a look and see if they match the criteria. But here's the thing, if you've already got them and you've already got stock and all those things, put it on Amazon, follow the training, launch it, see what happens. I mean, at the end of the day, we recommend, you know, the reason we take you through this entire process is you want to find a product that has existing market share. You know, it's got demand. I don't know if your product's got demand. You probably don't know either. You could go take, like I say, take it through the criteria to see. But if you've got it and you've already got stock, then send it to Amazon. You know, follow Dan's training, which I think you follow the listing training in module 5, and then Dan does the launch in module 6. Go through that. Because you've already got it. Like, and kudos to you for having a trademark logo on your products already. I'm assuming it is your product and you're not talking about selling someone else's. But anyway, Tin Cook, was this business easier to run and compete and thus succeed several years ago compared to now? Is it becoming harder every year for new sellers, or with the rate of Amazon's growing, you don't think that the competition is becoming unhealthy? I don't think the competition is becoming unhealthy. I mean, like the easiest way to answer this is back when we first started this ASM 1, which is 7 years ago. Yes, it was easier to compete. You'd put a product up and it would be much easier to compete. You know, you didn't have to go through the launch process and all that kind of stuff. However, having said that, the opportunity, in my opinion, is bigger now than it was before. It just requires a little bit more work to get to that. Okay, because Amazon's just growing at an insane rate. You look at, I don't have the stats off the top of my head, but if you look at the number of third-party sellers, in other words, us, 7 years ago, and look at it now, it'll be so different because so many people are succeeding on there. And it's the number of the number of products that are growing so fast that it's just, it's not, I know where you're going with this. You think it might be saturated. Absolutely not. There's still products out there that are easy, that you can launch and sell and make money with. It's not something you need to worry about. I'll even try and get you those numbers. I mean, as an example, we had when ASM 1 first came out, and Steve I don't think Tracy was around. I'm trying to think who else. Joanne was around, mentors. Basically, we had to explain to Amazon support what private labeling was. Okay, they had no idea. They confused the hell out of them. They didn't understand what it was. So, moving forward to now, at least their support know what we're doing and understand it. And there's pluses and minuses on all sides. There's tools we've got access to that we never had before. The Amazon ads platform, for instance, we never had that when we first started. And it's like, so much has changed for the better. A few things have changed that aren't better. But generally speaking, the opportunity is bigger now. But, in the interest of transparency, it's harder in terms of you have to do more work now. But at the end of the day, you're starting a business from scratch. Like, don't expect to do 5 minutes a day and become a multimillionaire. You have to work at this. I got no idea. Boyard Dengels is how it sounds, but I don't know where the first name starts or ends, or even if it's a name. But anyway, I have a question about the BSR ranges for primary and competing products. The example he gives tools and home improvement. The primary product BSR range is 100 to 8,000. Competing is 150 to 8,500. If a primary product has BSR of 200, okay, that's cool. That matches. I find two competing products that have BSR of 250 and 350. So they're both in the competing products BSR range. Yes, is the answer. You said, would this stay on your list of viable products? Absolutely. Basically, your primary and two competing products all fall within the correct BSR ranges. So it's all good. I like easy questions. Yeah, no chance. It begins with edit. I've got no idea what the rest of it is. In module 1, when looking for competing products, you keep bartender kit. Oh, the cocktail shaker. But competing products, we're having some with 10 pieces, some with 17, some with 23. Should this product were set so not the same number, treated as different, and so product not viable? This was an example I used. I didn't go into it very thoroughly, but it's a fantastic question. And if I didn't do a proper job of this, then quite right for pointing it out. But yes, I don't know why. Maybe it's just my arrogance. I'm sure I remember saying, that one's got more products. But yeah, you want to be comparing like with like. So if a cocktail shaker set, if it had 10 pieces and that's your primary product, then the others should be 10 pieces too. And it should be the same material. The one thing I stressed was the wood base. There was another one with a plastic one. We don't count that. So you do need to compare like for like. So I'm sorry if I didn't do that, but it was an example. But yes, you need to compare like for like. Elam Shabazi. I like that name. I hope I pronounced it right. I have a Canadian registered company, but I'll be selling in the US marketplace. Do I still need to get my UPC from GS1? So if you want to use GS1, I think you need to have a GS code. Right, Tracy, you're going to have to answer this one. But I'm pretty sure you have to have the GS code from where your company's based. Tracy will Skype me in a second and give me the answer. I'm not 100% sure. Or you could just use Nationwide and not do either. And now I'm waiting for Tracy. I can see her typing. Come on. Ooh. Where you are located. So that means I got it right, right? It's where your company's based. So in your case, you would use GS1 in Canada. Okay, perfect. Another one from the same person, from Elham Shabazi. I just like saying that. Do I need to have a UPC, and at what point do I, and that's a strange question to ask. You just add the one in front. And at what point do I get one? Considering I'm in the process of contacting and eventually selecting suppliers. Yes, you do need a UPC code, and you need it when we told you to get it, which is in module 3. So you need it before you place your inventory order. because you're going to need that to create the FNSKU. Yes. And then you follow up with, why can't we use Amazon's brand registry to eliminate that need? You can, but you have to get it. Now, up until about 3 months ago, excuse me, to get Amazon brand registry, well, you still have to have a trademark. But they've recently started something, and we're just about to test it, so don't go running screaming. We're just about to test it. It's called IP Accelerator. And basically what it is instead of Amazon saying you can only get brand registry when your trademark is approved, they're saying if you use one of their recommended attorneys, that as soon as goes through the initial process and they apply for the trademark, they will give you access to brand registry. And if you've got brand registry, you can elect not to use a UPC code. You can use another identifier. But even if that does work, it costs about $1,000. So if you're willing to spend $1,000 to get brand registry, so you don't have to use a $10 UPC code, yeah, okay. It's not down the route. I would want to launch my product. I would not want to wait and pay $1,000 to Amazon to get brand registry. By all means, do that as soon as you've got it, but like, it's just not that much of a requirement right now. And plus, we're going to test it all out to see how it works, so we can actually give you training on it too. More 1114. When coming up with a brand name, you have mentioned to create a name that has to deal with the category you're going into. However, when I go on Amazon and look at products, every brand name I see has nothing to do with the product, and it's usually just some random word. So I wouldn't say the vast majority are random words. We give you the training we think is going to work best for you. However, having said that, when it comes to brand name, if you've got a brand name, if you like a random word, as you put, or even a made up word, as long as it's spelt like it sounds, it's easy to say, easy to remember, then fine. Like, we're not going to tell you you must do it the way we do it. At the end of the day, there's a reason for doing everything we do. If our training for brand name was pick some random word, people wouldn't get very far. But if you've got like, I'm just in the process of launching a brand, and it does evoke the emotion of what the brand is all about. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but so we do what we teach at the end of the day, you know. But if you want to use a word like I don't know, Armanzadi, like just rant, like you can by all means, but just look at what that means. Like, if you saw that brand name, would it mean anything to you? Would it make you feel comfortable with their products or whatever? Now, yes, Apple, like what the heck has that got to do with computers? But at the end of the day, you're not Apple yet. And on Amazon, yes, there are a lot of brands like that just random names. But if you pick something that evokes what your company is about, it's so powerful. At the same time, don't get hung up on it. But I hope that helps somewhat. Yep, no, got no chance for that. Although it ends in Amazon. Oh, I sell Amazon. If I find a primary product with the range, but don't find a competing, if I find a primary product within the range, but don't find a competing product at all, nor a patent approved nor pending, could I go with it, especially that I see monthly sales is over 5,000? Is it viable without competitors at all? Maybe it's the first kind of its product. Can I go with it? No. Well, yes. I mean, if that's what you want to do. But here's the thing. It's exactly what I said on the earlier question. You need to prove viability beyond one product. Normally, there is a patent. Like you're saying, there isn't one. Well, that's fine. But if you've got one product that's making a lot of sales and there's nothing else, and especially if it's making 5,000 sales, that sounds very suspicious to me that no one has jumped on that and has their own version of it. My advice right here would be put it on the back burner. So put it in your list by all means, but mark it as do not launch this yet. And then find another product to launch and then keep an eye on that one. If you see all of a sudden, excuse me, a few more competing products appear that start getting within the ASM criteria, then by all means. But if you did it right now, you'd be guessing. It might be a specific kind of product that just, you know, basically the market is only big enough to justify that one product. That's why we have competing products. Vargas Marcelo, my question is related to the Amazon search URL when researching products. Does the URL expire? In other words, I do my research for an hour, decide to take a break and come back 2 weeks later. Do you know of any issues? I presume I have to start over. Okay, so it doesn't expire. But if you're talking about 2 weeks, the odds are that the search might have shifted. Products might have moved around. However, having said that, I would still rather do that than start from scratch, especially if you were like at page 40 or 50 or something like that. But in an ideal world, even if you've only got a certain amount of time per day, I would want to get to at least a page 100 before I took a break of any length of time. But as I said, it's better to come back and use that same URL than starting again if you're already 30 or 40 pages deep. Same person. Actually, I got that. No, I was right. Vargas Marcelo. Next question. Oh, this is a cracking one. This is going to take me, put your feet up, Dan. It's going to take me about 3 hours to answer this one. So it's Asal Amazon again. Is PP Scope the #1 Amazon automated advertising tool with full 60-day free trial as a bonus for ASM members? Nope. Next. Kidding. It's much better than PPC Scope. We haven't used PP Scope in over a year now. We found something else that we started using and recommending. And this tool now that you're going to be getting access to just blows everyone else away. And it's not ours. So it's not like we're saying it's awesome because it's ours, but you are going to get a bonus access to it. Ivana Mojmail, something like that. I'm sorry if I'm butchering everyone's names. It's terrible. When is the right time to contact suppliers from China, and when can we expect them to boost goods because of the upcoming holidays? The right time, as soon as you've completed module 1, you have your 3 products. Contact suppliers for those 3 products. It's that simple. Yes, there are holidays coming up. You are not going to be able to source and launch a product before Black Friday and Thanksgiving and everything, which is what, 2 weeks away. You're not going to be able to do it. The one thing you do have to be careful of, and it's a bit away yet, is in February, China, the whole of China basically goes on holiday. So you want to be doing it now. Like, don't wait. Although you'll see us recommending to other people that maybe are a little bit further ahead, that they don't launch just before Black Friday or just after it, because of like the way everything skews around. That doesn't mean you shouldn't be contacting suppliers to get quotes and everything, because that's you're weeks away from having your product. So do it as soon as you've narrowed down your list to 3. Go into module 2 and contact suppliers for those 3 products. Yeah, it starts with Ezeki Lilag, but like I probably put, yeah, whatever. When I started my product selection, my primary product had about 2,000 reviews, and my competing products were 600 and 400 respectively. Now after I've ordered my samples, the primary and competing products all have over 1,000 reviews. All the other criteria fits, and I want to launch the product. I'm just wondering if this could be disconcerting or a good sign that demand is increasing. Thanks for your time and advice. How long was the gap between you finding that product and ordering the samples? Because that doesn't seem, are these different competing products that were further down that are now ranked higher, is what I'm suspecting. I can't really give you an answer to this without knowing more. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do. Everyone else, I am asking this specific user to contact me via PM. That doesn't mean you all do it. Okay, we do it when there's specific situations where we can't answer a question. This is one of them. I have to see this product to know. So you'll know who you are because you recognize your question, right? But yeah, it's Ezekiel Illig, maybe, something along those lines. Send me a private message in the community. Just copy and paste the question if you want. And you will need to show me the product so that I can have a look. I suspect that what has happened here is that maybe your 4th or 5th competing product has now got, that had higher than 1,000 reviews, has now gone up to your 2nd and 3rd. But I'll take a look for you. Biz Roberts PI. I'm wondering about the ASM criteria. They were different in 2018 as are they in 2019. BSR 500 and 5,000 in 2018, reviews less than 500. So some of these actual ranges you're giving here are actually launch criteria. They're not the full ASM criteria that you get when you join ASM. But to answer your question, the BSR ranges have changed more than twice a year. Like we change it all the time because the BSRs change. When there's more products, the BSR ranges get bigger. In some cases, they get smaller because Amazon suddenly shift and move thousands of products into a different category. So we're constantly monitoring that. So that's why that's why the BSR ranges change. So we have to change them. It's a good thing we change them for you. So with the weight one, yes, it was £3 and it's now £5. That's because our training got better at advising on shipping. And we basically looked at all the data and basically increasing the range from £3 to £5. It didn't put you into a situation where, you know, your product wasn't viable anymore, as long as you looked at profit margin. So that's why we increased the weight. We've also, at certain times, increased and decreased the price. Because again, it comes from data that we see, that our members are seeing and reporting to us. Like we have an insane amount of data, and that's what we do. We continually evaluate this. And it's a good thing for you guys, because at the end of the day, you know, in a year's time or 2 years' time, when you've launched a few products or whatever, we will give you the latest information. Hope that answers your question. Heather Michelle, I'm going to mention your name later. Can you guess why? While setting up my quick listing, I was informed by Amazon that I will need to provide an SDS form before I'm able to convert to FBA. It sounds like that is something my supplier should have. Yes. And I plan to ensure I get it before placing a supply order. Absolutely. Any tips on going through that process? So it is a pretty straightforward process. Essentially, it's a standard form that all suppliers should have, and they should know that you need it. I would get it now. And the other thing is, if you have any issues with this process, then post in the community and tag Tracy Miofsky. But it's a pretty straightforward process. It's not that difficult. And here's the amazing thing. So, and I'm going to pat myself on the back here, because you've done that product listing now, you know this. If you hadn't done the quick product listing, you wouldn't know it. That's why we do it at this stage. Well, it's also so you can get your FN SKU, but that's why you do this early, because it triggers things like this, like needing an SDS form, like needing, like getting a hazmat review, that kind of thing, and it gets it out of the way. So basically, once you've narrowed down your supplier and you're ready to choose that supplier to give you that inventory, you ask them for an SDS form. The only thing I don't know is that if they'll give you that before you place the order. I'm not sure. At the end of the day, they should. And you've also said, I'm set up with the sourcing program as well. Okay, so you've used the sourcing bonus. Is that something the sourcing agent can help with? Absolutely. They will be able to help you with that. But at the end of the day, it will come from the supplier. The manufacturer will give you that form. So they will get that form for you. And you can ask them, you know, once they come back with the quote and you've got the 3 quotes from their people and you compare it to yours and everything, you can ask your sourcing agent that you got through Amazing Sourcing Bonus. Ask them for help. But as I said, you know, if you're struggling at all, it's a simple process, simple enough process at this point. Then make a post in the community and tag Tracy. She's our SDS expert. Well, pretty much everything expert. Ada Plenaki. That was pretty good, I thought. If one product is within the ASM criteria and the 2 competing products are 2, do we care about how much they sell? Well, we do, because we want to make loads of money. But, and you do go on, I mean, if the monthly revenue is low, get that. I don't know if you understand. I do understand. So here's the thing. The criteria we give you is to make sure that there's enough volume, which in turn leads to revenue, and low enough competition. Now, I know you're probably seeing a lot of these products that come up with monthly revenues of 100,000 or 70,000 or 60,000. But at the end of the day, if you're launching a product that's got monthly revenue of 10,000 and it's a good profit margin, and you know you're getting it relatively cheap and you can afford to order it easily, that's a serious amount of revenue. Like, it's so easy to get spoiled, you know, and by the amounts you see. So don't let that worry you. At the end of the day, you know, everything we give you is for a reason. And if it all falls within criteria, you know, don't rule it out. And here's the thing you can do. Basically, you put that on your list, and then when you go to narrow it down, you know, you can see that. You know, maybe you decide one of the 3 products you choose is going to be the one with the highest revenue. So that would rule that one out. But maybe when you also choose, you want them with the lowest competition in terms of reviews, excuse me, and all of a sudden that one with the lower revenue becomes an awesome opportunity because they've all got like 50 or 60 reviews. So if it matches the criteria, don't rule it out. If you're unsure, put it on the list, see what happens when you compare it to the others. Ivana Mojmail, I think. I mean, I've already tried. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, whatever. Is there a time limit for using the MBS retriever? ASM 11 members, nope. Yeah, I can't pronounce that. Does the 20% minimum target profit cover other overheads like cost of UPC, inspections, labeling? If you've been through modules 2 and 3, all the things you mentioned here are covered. Well, with the exception of the UPC. But remember the UPC, it's going to cost, if you go down the route of nationwide, it's going to cost you $5. And, you know, at the end of the day, you could be ordering 10,000 units over the next 6 months. So it's an irrelevant cost. Okay. So that doesn't come into it. Inspections is covered in module 3. Dan covered that in module 3. And I used it in the example. I gave, I think we took a ballpark figure of 20 cents. So again, it was covered in the training. Labeling, again, when you contact your supplier, you know, the labeling is going to be part of that. So they take that into account. So all the things you've mentioned, it covers. So hope that answers your question. Magda, can you elaborate a little more on competing products that are within the ASM criteria for BSR, but outside the ASM criteria for price? Oh, good question. I've found competing products with BSRs, but often a little cheaper, $13.99 or $12.99. Find the ones that are up 15 as well. So I'm actually going to do an extra lesson, which I'll post hopefully at the beginning of next week, called Stretching the Criteria. And it's something I do every time. And when I've kind of answered this 2 different ways already, but when it comes down to it, if all of the products are at $12.99 or $13.99, then no, that's a no-go. If the majority of the products you're looking at, in other words, the primary and competing products, if the majority of them are within our price range and 1 or 2 here and there, or $1 cheaper or $1.50 cheaper, then that would worry me less. But I mean, all you've got to do is look at the general scope of those, the top 10 maybe. So your primary and the first 9 competing products when you use the search. You'll know straight away whether the price of that product is too low, because you'll see a general graph. And we actually talk about this when we talk about creating your listing. And it's, and I think that's module 5. But you're looking, you know, you can see straight away whether it's a general thing that the price is lower, or that one person, one product have dropped their price. So for instance, in your example, if all the others were at $16.99, $15.99, basically in the price range, and one was at $13.99, could be they've dropped that price to try and boost their BSR. All you need to do is click on price and look at the price history. But yeah, if it's a general trend that the price is below the BSR range, no, don't go down that route. If it's 1 or 2 of them then that are close, then have a look to see if there's a reason they dropped that price, or if it's like something they've just done. And then at a stretch, it might be okay. But if you add a product like that to your list of products, make sure you mark it on your sheet that, you know, this price looked too low for 2 of the products or something like that, so that you know to look when you narrow down your list to 3. Last question, Dan, then it's all you, buddy. I'm gonna have a lie down. Jada Millennial 17. You guys should be telling me how good I am at this and how terrible, more likely. How can we find good suppliers that offer bonuses? Oh, okay, I think I'm with you. Many of the suppliers that I'm contacting have no idea what I'm talking about when they say I provide a bonus. So, excuse me, if you're talking about adding a bonus to your product of some kind, then that's fine. You know, you can do that as part of product tuning, but you just have to tell them. You're not telling them that you want them to provide a bonus. You're telling them, I want to add a straw to my product, please. I've got no idea why you'd want to add a straw, but you're adding something to add value, okay? Sometimes you might even end up, try and get it from the same supplier, but sometimes you might have to get that from a different supplier. Then it becomes complicated. And then it becomes a situation where, is it really worth all that time and hassle to improve the product by doing that? But yeah, you don't say to your supplier, can you offer me a bonus or something like that? You just tell them what you need. So in other words, I want a silicon spatula. Can you give me the MOQ and the price? But also, can you add a straw? I've got no idea why you do that, but like another product. Do you have this? Because I'd like to package them together, something along those lines. So hope that helps. Now, Dan, it's all down to you because I'm going to get a drink.
Yeah, let's dive in, guys. Cool. So Tink OUK. You didn't tell me about having to guess the names, Rich. Tink OUK, who's responsible for product recall if a design or manufacturing flaw is discovered after some time of selling the product? Just thinking about this while searching products, so my logic would be the easier design, the better, safer to start. First off, I'd say don't overthink it. But in every single situation, like that, it's on an individual relationship with the supplier. Now, 99% of the time is going to be your responsibility. And that's why we employ product quality inspections, because you are signing off that batch of inventory as meeting your standard and meeting the quality as per your inspection criteria before it ships. So by signing off that inspection report, you're taking ownership of that inventory and saying, yes, I'm happy with the quality of this product. Now, I've come across this a number of times. I've been in scenarios where I've had items that weren't properly packaged and it was a glass item and it's smashed. And in those scenarios where maybe the inspection company signed it off, or that for whatever reason, I didn't get that order inspected, and I get every inventory order inspected now, but for whatever reason, I didn't get it inspected, depending on the relationship that you have with that factory, you can always work a deal towards the next order. Generally, you can work some sort of terms. But the general rule of thumb is use quality inspections. That's why we do it. And it is your responsibility once you take ownership of that inventory. Next question, Sabash. I think I found a patent on Google Patents for a product that is very similar in terms of function and design to one of my top 3 products, but it's not exactly the same. In fact, the patent image looks very much like a competitor's product. In the same vein, I found a patent for a product nearly identical to a glass electric jar that you examined in the viability of module 1. Does this mean all glass electric jars on Amazon are infringing? And by the same token, will I be infringing the patent if I continue with this product? So first thing is, we are not qualified to give you patent advice. If you think there's any risk of patent infringement, then I would consider a different product. But if you're glued to that product, if you really desire that product, then you need to seek proper legal patent advice and have a patent search completed to give you that peace of mind and confidence in moving forward with that product. There's plenty of services available online for this. Obviously, there's a cost attached to that. But when starting out, unless you have a business, a sort of a background in business or a background in physical products or e-commerce, my advice would be move on to a different product if you think you're infringing on a patent. But that said, if you see this product as part of a range that's going to really develop out into a really solid brand, then you might consider seeking legal advice and getting a patent search done to decide on whether you continue, because that effort up front might set you apart and differentiate you on Amazon moving forward. But that is generally why we say to stick away from patented products. Next one from the same member. One of my top 3 products uses 2 AA batteries. Do I have to answer yes on Seller Central, where we select add dangerous goods information under products containing batteries, or not? Is it just that I'm not sure if Seller Central is asking whether the product contains lithium or lithium batteries? So yes, you absolutely need to tick that box. you need to tick the box that says I have batteries. You need to complete the information about the batteries, and they will most likely then ask you for the SDS documentation, the safety documentation, which Rich mentioned earlier on in this coaching call. And if you've used the ASM sourcing bonus, you can work with a sourcing agent to get that. If you haven't, then work directly with the factory to get hold of that documentation. But yes, you absolutely need to select that option when going through. If we don't live in the US, again, same member, if we don't live in the US and aren't able to ask people in the workplace or who just live there to purchase or review our product, how do you suggest we obtain those initial reviews quickly to gain traction? Okay, so we're jumping ahead a little bit here, and I'm going to be covering this in a lot more depth in later modules. But don't worry about it. The product review strategy with the insert will get you there. And Amazon has an early reviewer program that costs about $60, I believe, off the top of my head, that can get you some initial traction. But combining the launch strategy with the product insert offers, the Facebook advertising strategy that I'm going to teach you in a later module, as well as the early review program on Amazon, I wouldn't worry too much. You will get those initial reviews. That said, ensure that you focus on product quality, because you are going to be relying on organic, natural reviews from the start. And obviously that's going to come through in your product quality, especially when using the Amazon Early Reviewer program. They come back very honest. So ensure that you are focused on quality there, but don't worry too much about that. Can I offer a discount coupon on my product insert? No, you can't. You can't incentivize the review. So you can't turn around and say, get 20% off your products or get 50% off your products if you leave me a product review. That is absolutely a big no-no. We're not allowed to incentivize reviews, and that's one of the fastest ways to get suspended and shut down on Amazon. So don't even entertain anything like that. You can offer them a discount or a coupon in terms for joining your list or something like that, but there can be no mention of in return for a review. Okay, next one from Chris55. Currently, my product has a label and no insert. On my label, I am currently asking people to go to a website and sign up for special offers. I love the QR code idea to go to a ManyChat URL. If I put the QR code on my label, would that conflict with my Amazon FNSKU barcode? I know that you can only have one barcode on the label. Would Amazon think the QR code is like another barcode? So I've never done that personally. And I'm guessing if you've got a label, but you don't have an insert, I'm guessing your packaging is maybe like a poly bag or something. I'd be inclined to put the insert inside of the poly bag versus putting it on the label. But if you are going to put it on the label, I just keep it completely clear from the barcode, make it very apparent that that is for joining your subscriber list or joining your warranty list, whatever you're going to call it, and make sure there's very clear instructions around there that's for the user. But I would, no matter what packaging you've got, I would go down the route of an insert versus printing it on the label just in case. I haven't come across that personally myself, but maybe post it in the community to get others' input on that as well. But yeah, the QR codes definitely work. With the another piece on that, you mentioned that you're using a URL, you're asking people to go to a website, sign up for special offers. QR codes work great, and that's why we've included it in the trainings. They definitely do work great, but website links work as well. And it depends on who the customer is and who the audience is. So you might find that certain audience groups actually use a website URL more than use a QR code. And later in the training, we'll talk about stuff like text message numbers. But what I would say, when you say for special offers, remember that specificity sells. You want to keep it low friction, but what special offers? Be very specific about the value they're going to get in return for taking that time out of their day to go and do whatever you want them to do. So be very specific with your offers. Okay, next one, Biz Robertsby. Got that one down. If one seller has a 2-pack as a default and another single unit as a default, how can I compare the two? I'm not quite sure what you mean by default. Is there a way to do it in MBS in order to compare apples to apples? Does even just another color count as a... Okay, so I think you're talking about variations. So variations are very difficult to compare unless you're in one of the subcategories where you can see the individual performance of each variation. When starting out in this business, we generally advise to steer clear of variations for this very reason, because it gets very complicated very quickly, and you can't really determine what variation is driving the majority of the sales on that listing unless it's in one of these special subcategories. So if all of the page has variations, I would probably consider moving on to your next product opportunity at this point in your journey. because none of the sort of like management stats, the retriever, unless it's in one of those subcategories, is not going to be able to pull that individual variation data, which then makes it very difficult for analyzing which color, which variation is actually driving the sales and intent. You can do manual analysis on that. Let's say it's color that you've mentioned as a variation. You could be looking at the results on the page and then doing a bit of a tally and assessing, okay, 80% of the page is blue. 20% of the page is red. The market's obviously looking towards blue. You can have a look at your advertising and see where's the money being spent on the sponsored advertising. Where are your competitors investing their advertising budget? They might be investing in a certain type of color over another. So you can take that type of analysis to the product. But again, when starting out, we want to keep it simple and set you up for success. And any sort of decision points and risk point like that becomes an informed risk. And our job coaching you through this is to minimize those risks and keep it simple. So if you do have other product opportunity on your priority sheet, work through those first. If you're absolutely set on going after something like this, then use informed data like that to understand where the sales are coming from. I hope that is a correct answer to the question. Sebastian, another one from yourself. Would it be easier to ask the supplier to apply the shipping labels on the cartons? On the same note, how big a difference would it make in shipping costs if the freight forwarder takes care of the shipping all the way to Amazon instead of UPS taking over the last part? So yeah, look, your supplier can apply the shipping labels to the cartons, definitely. We typically, yeah, you can have that done. There's no real difference in cost. I mean, the supplier generally there'll be a fee involved. In terms of shipping costs and the freight forwarder taking care of shipping all the way to Amazon, it's a bit of a different process. Typically, we just let Amazon take care of it. We let their service take care of it, and the prices are, because they're preferential prices and they're preferential service, we can't compete with those prices. So what I would say is, rather than sort of, especially for the amount that you're going to be ordering on your first order, I wouldn't sweat this detail, and I'd just get on and follow the training as it teaches, and just let Amazon take care of it. And then you can look for efficiencies in shipping later down the line when you're doing volume where it's going to matter. Because I doubt right now you're doing any volume where it's going to matter. So just have a look. Yeah, and I've just got Tracy in the background here saying it's really not a good idea because they'll be charged to by Amazon, and too many times carton details don't match up, etc. So look, follow the training. Do as the training says in terms of applying the labels and the shipping. It's taught for a reason, especially at this point in the journey, because we want to limit and reduce any risk of hiccups and any risk of complications like labels not matching up and the shipment being rejected. It's only going to cause you headache. And like I say, with the volume, Rich saying the boy learns fast. Yeah, so with the volume that you guys are doing, are going to be doing straight out the gate, you're really not going to see an efficiency. So just keep it simple, do what the training says, do what we've taught in the program, because it's going to minimize the risk of any complications. And complications can be very costly, and complications can cost you time in getting live, especially if things start getting rejected from Amazon. So yeah, Tracy, thanks for the catch there. Absolutely right. Zurim, do we have to purchase a domain name for every product? If the next product's in a different category, if selling in the US, but not residing in the US, with trademark attorney. Okay, so everything we're training and everything we're teaching is around developing a brand around an audience, and then building out a range of products under that brand that serves that audience. So yes, you can be in different product categories, but really you should be releasing products that are aligned with each other and serve the same audience through the same brand. So unless you're thinking, I'm going to create a new brand every time I launch a new product, no, you don't need a domain name for every product. You need a domain name for your brand website, and then you're going to release all of your products under that brand. I don't advise picking products and releasing new brands for every individual product. The idea of creating a brand and building that strength in a brand is that you're serving one audience, a very specific customer base, serving their needs. So let's say it's moms who work 9 to 5, they've got kids in school, that might be one audience, or it's a certain type of cyclist and they've got very specific needs and all the accessories around that. And the idea is, as you continue to release products, your existing customers want to buy your new products. which makes launching products a lot easier. It makes cross-selling products a lot easier. And when it comes to thinking about like maybe valuing the business, the average lifetime value of that customer increases. So don't think with brands, don't think as products as individual brands. It's not, it's one brand, multiple products. And no, you don't need domain names for each product. And if selling in the US but not residing in the US, will a trademark service? Yes, Tony, be necessary. So as Rich said, you definitely, once you've got confidence in your brand, you've got that first product live, you're committed, you've got some sales through, and you're like, yep, I'm going to push forward with this product. I'm going to release my second product. You definitely want to look into trademarking your brand. Absolutely. There are a lot of benefits that come from it. And one of them is access to Amazon's brand registry that gives you a lot of protection on Amazon from other sellers. And it also opens up a couple of new marketing features as well that you won't currently have access to. As Rich said, there is a brand new service available. It's called the IP Accelerator. We're testing it. Amazing. You want to, so hold off on that for now, and you will definitely hear details of that once that testing is complete. Because right now, if you were to set up a trademark in, say, the US, it can take anywhere from 6 months to 12 months to get that approved, and then you have to submit it through to Amazon. When using Amazon's new service, my understanding, and we're verifying this, is that they will give you all of that protection once their people have submitted that trademark. So not necessarily approved the trademark, but submitted it. So you definitely want to start looking towards trademark, but wait out and wait for the update from Rich on the IP Accelerator service. Okay, next one from Shibism. There you go, got that one. What's the best way for me to look for private label supplement makers? Is it as simple as typing into Google private label vitamin C as an example? Yes, it is. Now, we do cover that in the training. Rich has covered that, and I believe I covered that in module 3 as well. I went over that again in module 3. So private label, white label, manufacturer, all of these terms, factory, just search Google, vitamin C, private label, or supplements, private label. You can use manufacturer, factory, supplier, private label. All these terms are going to produce factories. But yes, the answer is Google. There's also a website that you can have a look at called ThomasNet that will produce some results there also. But yeah, definitely Google search and look for sort of US-based, FDA-approved suppliers. It's literally as easy as that. But go back through the training on that because that is covered. Tinko UK, I'm guessing you're based in the UK. How can we make sure that the safety standards for the products are adhered to by our supplier? I.e., if we decide to sell a product in the kitchen and dining category, how can we know that the materials used to manufacture that product are safe for contact with food? So in module 3, I talk a lot about quality inspection. I also talk about product testing certificates and various different levels of certifications that factories can present around a product. This is where your questioning and your conversations with the factory are really important. And especially when using the ASM sourcing bonus, all of this will be a lot easier because you can get these questions answered by the agent very quickly. So in terms of sort of quality standards, you want to be asking the factory around sort of product testing, that sort of thing. Have you tested this product? Is it approved? Now, you will need to understand in certain markets with certain categories, generally the gated categories, which we advise sticking away from starting out when you're starting out. There are different levels of testing and certifications required. At this stage, you want to confirm, is this product safe to sell in the US? And then employ the quality inspections to go through and ensure that the quality of that product is being met. If you use or when you use the ASM sourcing bonus, that order will be inspected using the quality inspection service. That's not to say that that service is going to guarantee any level of product certification, but you want to do the research around that. Use Amazon's help documents to understand, does this product require any certification? And if it does, challenge the factory and say, can you provide this documentation? But again, I wouldn't overthink that too much. Just ensure that if you're going to more of a sensitive category that's maybe gated, or maybe you're going into sort of children's toys or something where sort of compliance is definitely a growing factor, then just ensure that you understand what compliance is required, what certifications required. This is all available online on the Amazon help documents, and ask the factory about that. Okay, next one. Falcon Larap. That's a cool handle. Since I started selling before I took the course, my first product is labeled and ready to be shipped. I would like to launch 2 products. I am full-time invested in this business and took out the financial resources to manage the inventory. Suppliers would be the same, and it's very similar products, such as would be a conditioner and hair treatment. Whether you recommend or not, I would love some feedback. So I always get asked this, like, should I go after 1 or 2, or can I launch 5 products at the same time? It's a very individual question based on your current position, but what I will say is focus is everything. Success generally lies in the last 10% of effort. The challenge is you have to do the first 90% to get to the last 10. For every additional thing you try and do, you're slowing down the pace at which you complete that 90% of effort before you hit the 10% of success, like the last 10%, which is where the success is. So if you're 100% up to speed, you're confident in launching, you know how to run PPC, you're good at creating product listings, you've got an audience in place, a customer list or a subscriber list in place that you can launch your products to and give your products to, and you know exactly what you're doing, then launching 2 products side by side that are in the same category, shampoo and conditioner, would absolutely be viable. However, if you're at the start of your journey, you haven't quite figured out the whole business yet, it's going to be your first time launching a product and you haven't yet got your feet wet with launching your products, and there's only one real way to learn this business is actually do it, then my advice would be hold the second product, launch the first one, learn everything there is to learn about launching that product on Amazon, the challenges, how people responded to it on Facebook. Have you found your audience? Is your message connecting with people? Is your PPC strategy working? And then take all of that learning and move it to the second product launch, because that second product launch is going to be a lot more efficient, go a lot faster and a lot better because you've taken the learnings of the first product. So for 99% of people listening to this call, especially people just joined for ASM 11, don't try and spread yourself too thin. Don't try and run before you can walk. Focus on one thing at one time. Focus on the one step in front of you that you need to complete to move to the next action before worrying about everything else. And when it comes to launching products, let's focus on one, use the learnings and launch the second. I hope that helps. Shibism, that handle is random. You mentioned that health and personal care are now partially gated. Is this applicable to Amazon USA only? What about Germany? I actually don't have the answer to that. So Tracy, anyone in the background can give me a bit of a heads up on that. I will answer it and I'll loop back to it. If not, just post in the community and one of the mentors who does have the answer will come back to you. I haven't got the latest on that. Is the ASM sourcing program only available to ASM 11 members? Right now, yes. That's not to say it won't be available in future, but right now it's available to ASM 11 members only. So all of the ASM 11 members on the call, make sure you take advantage of this. It's a serious bonus, serious service, and is going to save you potentially a lot of work and headache. Next one, Kapan 1416. I'm in the process of placing my inventory with a new supplier. My plan is to have a third-party inspection in China. I would like to be upfront with my supplier about what happens if the first inspection fails with an agreement. So I do cover this in the program in module 3. And Kapan, if you're ASM 11 and go through the ASM sourcing bonus, you will get that inspection included. And what we do is on the performer invoice, this is generally how we handle it. On the performer invoice that the factory will produce upon you placing your first order, we include in the terms that the balance will be paid, or whatever the payment terms are, subject to the approval of that quality inspection. Now, you can take those terms a lot further. You can negotiate whatever you want to with your factory. It's really about having that relationship in place and having fallback plans. Now, for you to say that, you must be concerned about the quality with this product. There must be an area of the product that's maybe more complicated, or maybe you're seeing a quality issue come up in loads of competitors' reviews. So what I would do very specifically in that scenario is have it included in the performer invoice, have the supplier or the factory agree to the terms of that performer invoice, subject to the approval of a quality inspection, and mention whatever specific points you're concerned about so that it's all down on paper and very black and white. Again, if you use the ASM sourcing bonus, our agents on the ground will help you facilitate that, and you'll find it a lot easier than going back and forth over Alibaba or via email and trying to get that in place. So if you are ASM 11, get into that sourcing bonus and leverage that resource. So I've asked my supplier and still waiting on an answer. So just to round that off there, sorry, I missed the end of that question. Yeah, communication's key. Monitor that. You want to be working with someone that's got good communication. And if they're hesitant around that, then it maybe not be a good sign, because why aren't they committing to quality? Okay, next one. Rajanav. There you go, Rajanav. I found my first product and reached out for suppliers. The product I selected is battery operated, but if I read the reviews saying I read the reviews saying I wish it was USB chargeable. One of the supplier has made it as a USB version now, and I don't see any competition for this version. It sounds like a winning product. In fact, I don't see a similar one on Amazon. Should I go with the initial version or should I go with the USB version? If you're seeing all of your competitors' critical reviews, the negative reviews saying, I want USB charging, you found a product that's USB charging and none of your competitors are selling USB charging, that sounds like a pretty good opportunity to me. Providing it meets the criteria and you run it through and you validate all the data points as Rich teaches, why would you not release a product that's answering the market's pain points? Absolutely answer the market's pain points, but only if it justifies it. Now, if it's a complete change on the product and it's not meeting the same demands, then it's not the same product. But it sounds to me like it's the same product, but has a development in its feature set that is answering the negative reviews of your competitors, then absolutely release that product, providing it meets the criteria. Will the product, so this one is Zoram again. Will the product packaging have 2 barcodes on it, i.e. UPC and FNSKU? UPC is purchased, then you forward it to the manufacturer in China, stick on the packaging, then download from Seller Central, the FNSKU, provide this image to the supplier, stick on the product packaging again. The UPC and FNSKU, okay. So this was actually an update on ASM 11. You don't need to print the UPC code directly on the packaging. So the old approach to this was we'd put the UPC on, and that would be on the packaging, and then the FNSKU sticker gets put over the top of the UPC. Amazon will only accept 1 barcode on that package. So it used to be that you put UPC on and then you put the FNSKU on top. The thinking behind that was if you were to expand off Amazon and take that product into stores, you obviously want that UPC on the packaging. Let's be real, you're starting out with your brand on Amazon, and when you get to the point where you want to take your product into retail, we'll worry about getting the UPC on it at that point with that next order. You don't need to put that UPC on, just have your factory print the FNSKU directly onto that package, which is going to save all the headache and save you some labeling costs, because you can just have your designer work that FNSKU code into the packaging. So again, I covered that in module 3 in the product packaging lesson, so go back and watch that lesson. Next one, Tom and Nona. I hope I pronounced that right. Nona. Hey guys. I contacted a freight forwarder from the Vault Flexport to get a shipping quote and was told that they have made a change. They're only doing companies. Okay. That's Freightos. Okay, so thanks for bringing that to our attention. We'll investigate that and look into that. Next one, Majda. Please explain in more details inventory costing in Amazon warehouse. When do the special fees apply? In this case, you have too much inventory. When inventory is longer time warehouse, what would it take to consider when ordering inventory? Okay. Yes, there are sort of Q4 storage fees that increase. Yes, there are storage fees for having inventory held in Amazon too long. What I would say right now is you don't need to worry about it. You're not going to be ordering enough inventory to be hitting that, and you haven't yet launched the product. There is full documentation, depending on which marketplace you're talking about what Amazon's storage fees are. You can just search the Amazon help documents to find out what those fees are. But right now, I think you're overthinking it because you're not going to be ordering the volume. What I would assume. You're not going to be ordering the volume. I would assume, unless I'm mistaken, that it's going to affect you. And we're going to be teaching you to launch properly, so you are going to be selling through that inventory very quickly. So yeah, don't worry about it at this point. And all of the long-term storage fees and additional fees for Q4 are documented on Amazon's website. But generally it's a small charge in addition for each unit held. Okay, who does the product packaging? So this is Elam Shabazi. Who does the product packaging? Lesson 9 talks about getting the designer to include the FNSKU on the packaging. This is part of the lesson, but it's a bit unclear who does what. Could you explain, please? Okay, so yes, you're going to get you are going to download the FNSKU from Seller Central for your listing. You're going to then pass that file, that image file, to your designer, who's going to place it, or not place it, who's going to work it or include it inside of your packaging design. That packaging design is passed to your packaging supplier, who's going to print that packaging onto your carton or your box or your poly bag, whatever you've gone for in your packaging type. And because the designer has included that FNSKU barcode in the design work, it gets printed directly onto the packaging. So to clear up the question, you are responsible for getting the FNSKU barcode out of Amazon. You pass that to your designer. Your designer is responsible for including it in your design. Your designer, or you get the design file from your designer and pass it to your packaging supplier. Generally, it'll be the same supplier as it'll be your product supplier, who will then have it printed onto your product packaging, and away you go. So you to the designer, to the factory, printed, and away you go. I hope that makes sense. Okay, next one. Since we disable the option to let Amazon resell refurbished, repackaged items for us, what happens to the returns? Do we sell them again at all? And if yes, how would you ensure they get repackaged properly? So look, we do advise turning this off, because you can't govern the quality of that refurbished unit or repackaged unit that goes out, and then that can come back in the form of a bad review. What will happen is on your returned items, Amazon will store them, and then you'll get a notice about it, and you can either have them destroyed, or you can put in a order to have them removed from Amazon. There is a cost involved there, but you basically can have them removed out of Amazon. So you can have them brought back to you. You can have a look at them, inspect them, and if they're good enough, package them back up and send them back into Amazon. Depending on the volume, depending on the cost of the products, you might just have them destroyed. But yeah, we do advise sticking away from having them, letting Amazon resell them, purely because it can mess up reviews. And if you ever do run out of stock, run out of inventory, unless you close the listing, which we teach, those blips of 1 or 2 sales can hurt your BSR ranking while you're out of stock as well. So yes, Amazon hold them, and then you can decide to destroy them, or you can decide to remove them from Amazon for a cost and bring them back to either yourself or maybe a third-party logistics company that will handle them and repackage them for you. Is it mandatory? So this is Rajnav. Is it mandatory to get a UPC if you are starting as an individual? If so, I do not have a US postal code address to register since I live outside of the United States. How to obtain a UPC in such cases? So I can answer half of that. Yes, it is mandatory that you need a UPC for your product. Amazon will require that for you to create that listing and get that FNSKU code to then put on the package. In terms of how you get them, that is one I'm going to direct to the mentors or Tracy outside of the US. So put that in the community, and one of the mentors will come back to you, because I don't know the answer to that one. Since my chosen product does not have variation but are a 4-pack product, can I understand that this has no variations? There are products which are 2 packs on a single product, but they're selling separately. Yes, okay, so to that point, I'm going to loop back onto that. Thank you, Tracy. Tracy's the goddess of wisdom in the background. I'll loop back to that question about the UPC code. So to the latest question around the 4-pack or 2-pack. So a variation is when you have a parent Amazon listing, and you see on the listing all the different product options. Normally it's color, size, different styles, different models, different weights. So if you're looking at a product where you've got 2 packs and 4 packs in the search results, but they're individual products, then you need to decide, are you competing at 4 packs, or are you competing with 2 packs? So when you bring up Retriever, sort by BSR, or sort by revenue, sort by BSR, and have a look at where the volume is. Is the majority of sales coming from 4 packs, or is the majority of sales coming from 2 packs? And decide which product you are. A 2-pack is different product to a 4-pack if they're separate listings in the search results. If you're looking at the 4-pack, then only compare 4 packs as like-for-like products. Don't include that 2-pack in your consideration, because you're not a 2-pack. It's a completely different product. So to concisely answer the question, unless it's on the same listing, it's not a variation, no. If they're separate product listings and the whole category is like that, you've got mixtures of 2-packs and 4-packs, figure out where the demand is using the data out of Retriever, and then compare like-for-like products on the number of items. Don't compare a 4-pack to a 2-pack. It's a different use case. It's a different intent behind that buyer looking for that product. So we're going to jump back up to Rajnav. In terms of obtaining a UPC code, you are going to
Dan, I can answer that one.
Yeah, go on. No, I was just laughing at the questions about Tupac. Nationwide or just one in the country? Do you want to take that, Richard?
Yeah, so basically, if you're using Nationwide, you just use your whatever your postcode is in the country you're in. That's fine. There's no issue with that. And if you're using GS1, you just register with the GS1 for your country. And then you just use your own postcode.
Oh, cool. Well, that's easy enough. Okay, and I think that is the end of the questions for me here on my sheet. Look at
that. Awesome job. We had no doubts whatsoever you were going to do an awesome job, Dan.
We'll see. We'll see how we roll on.
No, that was awesome. Yeah, so we only have, yeah, awesome job. We only have, I just suddenly looked at the time. Yep, 2 hours. What do you know? We always seem to get to 2 hours, except for last week for some reason. So yeah, I have my one job. I still have my one job, even though Mike here isn't here to tell me I've got my one job. And that is the community helpers. And let's let me open my file here. Yeah, so I'm not going to explain what it is again. You should all know by now that the mentors identify people that have been super helpful and super encouraging. Doesn't mean they have to know everything and give answers. And then they give me a list of people and they vote for who should get the #1 prize, which is an extra 30-minute call on top of the 2 that Dan already told you about. And then the 2 runners-up get a community helper badge. And then the other people get a huge thank you and also the opportunity to win one of the other prizes next week. So honorable mentions. For some reason, this font is really small. Hold on. I really need to get glasses. Is Eric Fazikas. So honorable mention. Thank you so much for all your help. Melon Ulici. You were on last week. I'm sure you were. Zara, I've seen you before. So you both probably got a very good chance of winning something next week. And the other person with an honorable mention was Amjad Saeed. But the 2 people this week who are going to get their own community helper badge are Jada Millennial 17 and Heather Michelle. Phew, an easy one. Thank you so much for everything you've been doing. You're going to get a community helper badge. You don't have to ask for it. Basically, James will take care of that for you. But this week's winner, and actually by quite a clear margin this week, who's going to get not only a coveted community helper badge, but is also going to get an extra 30-minute call. So you basically end up with 3 30-minute mentor calls, is Susie Minier. So that's Susie, M-I-N-I-E-R, Minier. Congratulations. You've got that super prize, plus obviously the much coveted community helper badge. Who knows, you may become a mentor one day. And that's just about it for this call. So I'll close out. I think Dan's done enough work. Just remind you of a few things. First of all, bonuses. Do not forget about all those valuable bonuses you've got. Okay, they are, we've chosen them especially to make sure that they help you succeed. So make sure that you take advantage of that. Go check the emails you got. You should have had one titled "Don't Forget Your Bonuses," and it basically has a link to take you to a video that explains all the bonuses and how you can get them. There's also a post in the community. What else? Then there's the 2 super extra bonuses we came up with, which is the 6 months free of Seller Pro, which is a membership with a lot of more advanced training in it, like mini courses with advanced training that you get once you've got your first sale badge. And we've also going to be giving you the live recordings. I can't remember. We sold those for about $500, I believe, something like that anyway. But you get the live recordings from SellerCon in Las Vegas, where you'll get to see me and Mike on stage. You'll get to see Mike on his own, and you get to see Dan on his own too. So all of us are on stage, and some good speakers too.
Yeah.
I got it wrong. I should have said me and Dan. I don't know. I basically could have. There was a clear opening there for me to have a go at Mike, and I missed it. Damn.
I've been told about this. These jokes are going to start rolling.
I'm gonna have to start doing it to you now instead. We'll just carry on blaming Mike for everything. Okay. Yeah. So, and there's absolutely phenomenal speakers. I'm trying to think of, there was one interview that absolutely blew my mind. I can't remember. You saw it, Dan. The
founder of Spanx, are you talking about?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, she's incredible. It was a great interview. Inspired a lot of people, that did.
Unbelievable, like how she started her business and everything. It was phenomenal. I loved it. Anyway, there's lots of that. It's a super bonus. And again, you know, we're not giving it to you to get your first sale badge because it's all advanced stuff. Like there's no point in you getting distracted with that before you found your product, found your supplier, ordered your inventory, launched your product, and got your first sale. And then I would like to, first of all, thank Caleb, who you don't know, but he's in the background. He actually runs this call and makes sure it works. If you were all on the call 2 weeks ago, he wasn't on that one. Yeah, and it went a bit pear-shaped, but it wasn't Michael's fault either. So thank you, Caleb. Also, thank you to the amazing mentors in the background. Again, when we used to first do these calls, we would have to, you know, we'd go back and we'd look at live calls in the background that weren't answered. We don't get those anymore. Basically, the mentors answer every single question. And like at the end of the day, they are probably more hands-on and know more about helping our members than Dan and I do. Because they see more of it, you know, that they spend more time helping people in the community. So their answers are equally as good as ours, if not better than ours. So do bear that in mind. But yeah, so I'll reel them off. And I'm going to go men first, just to annoy everyone. Steve, otherwise known as the Swedish chef. Tracy, what did Dan call her? The something goddess?
The goddess of wisdom.
The goddess of wisdom, that's it. She liked that, by the way.
Yeah,
Joanne and Elaine. So thanks so much, all four of you. And thank you guys. Like at the end of the day, without all your super questions, we would probably have a 10-minute call and all go bye-bye and go home. So awesome job for being here. Thank you so much for all the great questions. And as a last reminder, remember what you joined this for. Figure out your why. Yeah. Get that why, evaluate it, get a pictorial evidence of it. Go and post in the thread. As soon as this call finishes, I'm going to go and make that post live and pin it so it's at the top. Go in there, post your why. It's good, and keep it next to your computer. It will help you. There's absolutely no doubt it will help you, and it will help you keep moving. But on top of that, you know, you've got a chance of winning one of those 5 amazing prizes. So that's it for this week. We'll be back same time next week, same day. It'll be me and Dan again, assuming he hasn't decided to fly to China again. And you'll see us all then. So thanks so much, and we'll see you next week.
Cheers, guys.